Anthropic just released sub-agents and it solidified their position as the #1 choice among software developers and vibe coders as a tool of choice for development. So what is sub-agent and why this much hype around it? Before going deeper into that, let's understand how the current Claude Code agent works. So you go to the terminal and type Claude to initiate the agent. Now you type whatever you want to build, right? Let's build. And this is how you interact with the Claude Code agent, right? So what is happening behind the scene? So the user here interacts with the main Claude Code agent. The agent has three main components: context, system prompt and instructions, and tools. The context window is basically a working memory for the agent. It limits how much information the agent can hold during an execution cycle. System prompts and instructions define how the agent should behave and what task it needs to do, how it should do, etc. This is already done by the Anthropic team, but you can still customize it using the claude.md file, but that is for another day's topic. And then comes the tools. Agents use tools to take actions. There are lots of inbuilt tools like fetching a file, reading a file, greping, etc. This facilitates the agents to take actions. The agent comes with certain inbuilt tools, and the permission for those tools can be controlled with /permissions command. So you can actually control the permissions for the tools that you need to give. Custom tools can be built and given access to the agent as well. So what happens is the user asks some query. Okay, let's build something, right? And then the main Claude agent is going to get the relevant information from the code base and the command line to its context window, and it's going to have its system prompt and instruction on how to do a task. So it's going to combine everything and then uses its tools, whatever the tools that is allowed for it to use, and then it will take actions until it meets the user's requirement and then sends back the response. This is how the normal traditional main Claude agent works. But the main issue with this single agent workflow is that when the tasks get bigger or there are multiple steps in the task, the agent's context window gets cluttered with so much information and it can't focus on a single task. This is exactly the problem the sub-agents solve. It's like having specialized team members for each task. Anthropic calls this like pre-configured AI personalities that Claude can delegate tasks to. When you give a clean context and a single purpose, the agent tends to perform much better than a general purpose agent. That is the philosophy behind this. You can see it here. User is going to interact with the main Claude agent, but the main Claude agent is going to have access to multiple sub-agents. Let's say a reviewer agent to review the code, a tester agent to test the code. Each sub-agents are going to have their own context windows, own set of system prompts and customized instructions, and also they are going to have their own set of tools. It's better if you limit the access to the tools relevant to the agent. It improves the security. You don't want some agents to use particular dangerous tools, right? So you can limit that there. And also when you limit the number of tools, the agents are going to have more focus on, okay, this is my purpose and these are the only things that I can do. And it's going to increase the performance. If you don't want to limit anything, you can just leave it as it is, and it is going to have all the access to the tools that the main agent also has. So each are going to have a defined purpose. The review agent, his sole purpose is to review the code. So whenever he is called, he is going to get the relevant information into his context and then perform the task using the tools that he is allowed to use, and then send back the response to the main agent. And then the main agent combine all those responses from multiple agents and then send the response back to the user. This is how the sub-agents work behind the scenes. Now let's see the practical part. In your Claude terminal, type. Now let's create new agent. You have two ways to create a new agent, either project wise or personal. Project means the agent will, whatever the agent you create will be only available in this project. But if you want the agent to be accessible throughout all your projects, you can select this personal. It's going to be common for all your projects. Yeah. So let's say I want to make it local, and when you are starting with this sub agent, it's highly recommended to use this auto generation of the agents. And then once you get more confidence with it, you can use this manual configuration. But let's just start with generate with Claude. Okay, so first step you have to do, you have to explain clearly what your agent is going to do. So let's say I'm going to create a code reviewer, right? Give as much information as possible and explain what it is, when you have to use this and how it should function, all those information. The main Claude agent can call this sub agent in the right moment, and also the response of this sub agent will be highly accurate as you want. Okay, now let's just type a comprehensive description about review agent. Okay, the error breaking down features, and you can also ask it to invoke the reviewer agent every time you implement a feature. When you explicitly mention, the agent tends to call it. So once you are done with it, you can actually write a very comprehensive description, but to keep things simple, make a simple expression here. Okay, now it's going to create our sub agent. So when you are creating a sub agent, it's going to ask what are the tools that you want to give permission to. By default, it permits all the tools that are available to the main agent itself. You can manually control which tools that you want to give permission, but for the simplicity, I'll just keep everything as all tools here. I'll give permission to all the tools for all my agents, but in best practice, it's better to give limited tools which will improve the focus of a sub agent. When you know that these are the right tools that should be used, and if you only give those tools as an option to the agent, it tends to choose the right one instead of throwing everything at itself and let it decide on the go. So in these kind of agent systems, you have to reduce the amount of choices the agent has to automatically make. If you narrow down the purpose and give very few choices, it tends to perform much better and in expected way. So just for simplicity, I'll give permission to all. Let's continue. Here you can choose the model, right? For the reviewer, you need to have a good eye. So I would recommend Opus. Of course, it depends on your plan and availability of the model. If you have a, let's say, $200 max plan, of course you can use Opus for all your sub agents. But I would recommend, if it's just going to be a pure execution, you can just use Sonnet. So here I'll just use Opus. You can select a color you want. This is a very nice feature that they implemented. Okay, let's just take purple here. Yes, now it's going to tell the system prompt, okay, model Opus. Right, now you can see that in the project agents, it created code reviewer. Yeah. Now you see the created agent is here. Let's go and create another agent called test agent. Create a new agent the same way. Project load. Right. Testing agent. Create a testing agent which will write unit test for the changes. Simple. And use the best cases of tests. Again, for the simplicity, I'll just keep things very simple for the explanation. Okay, it's going to generate. Oh, I forgot to Okay, now let's create a testing agent. Okay, testing agent who write new changes and follow the test. Okay, so you can actually be very comprehensive here. The more comprehensive you are, the more accurate your sub agent is going to be, and it will be invoked in the right time. But for the simplicity, I'll just keep it as it is. And now let's create. It's going to create now. Again, I'll just give permission to. Now you can see that here, like we wanted, we selected the color for that, right? Purple color, I think. Yeah, this is the fun part. Each sub agents are going to have different colors. Now you can see that code reviewer has been invoked, right? Yeah, so it's now currently reviewing. Now you can see that it's going to use the test generator agent to see. We selected a blue color. Now the test generation agent is blue, so it started using that. Okay, now it's writing the tests. Pretty cool. Yes. So meanwhile, we'll check into this agents. Okay, so the instruction that has been created for agents are inside this .claude folder in your project directory. Under the agents folder, you can see code review agent and test generator agent. Okay, so let's see how this code reviewer agent is here. This is the thing, like one after creating automatically, you can still come here and then edit the way you want. You can add some instruction and modify some instruction on what it is doing. So same thing for test generation. Now still writing the test cases. There you go, it made the code changes, did the review, and then wrote unit tests. Okay, that's it guys, and please let me know your feedback in the comment section, and also don't forget to subscribe the channel. See you guys with the next video. Bye.